Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to the WNET TIS studio in the heart of Lincoln Center. It is our pleasure to welcome for the first time here in the studio Dr. Holly Phillips, who is the medical contributor with CBS News and a board-certified general internist and the author of this book, provocative and important book. It is called The Exhaustion Breakthrough. Dr. Phillips, we were just talking about this before we get on the air. Why are so many people so tired?
Right. You know, I see that we're living in an epidemic of exhaustion, right? Where we've accepted fatigue as our fate. So many people, especially women, we've built these big, wonderful, fulfilling lives, right? From families to kids to working in the job force to taking care of our friends and the community. But it's almost as though subconsciously we feel like the price we should pay for living such full lives is to be so exhausted we can't enjoy them. And I don't think it should be that way. So really, the reason that I wrote the book was to point out hundreds of common but commonly overlooked both medical conditions and lifestyle things we can all change to have more energy.
Such as?
Well, one of the things that I propose in the book is something called a 7-day Exhaustion Breakthrough Challenge.
A 7-day?
A 7-day Exhaustion Breakthrough Challenge. You do 8 different steps during these 7 days. And I suggest people don't do it during their most busy time because, you know, some of them are challenging if you are very, very, very busy. But what the 7-day Exhaustion Breakthrough Challenge really does more than anything is help you identify your personal energy drains. So one of the first steps is to keep what I call a fatigue diary. I have it in the book. You can just fill it out. And hour by hour, you write down what your energy levels are. And then on another axis, you look at how much you've eaten, what you had to drink, whether or not you exercised, what your stressors are, so you can start to make those critical connections.
Now, what's fascinating about that, I was telling you before we got on the air, my answer to everything when it comes to fatigue, because not to make a big deal about this, but our crew gets here very early in the day here at the TIS studio, WNET. We have long taping days, and if you're exhausted or you're acting exhausted or it comes across, it doesn't work. Behind the scenes, it's a problem. This part, it's a problem. My answer to everything is work out early in the morning, and I just had a little extra caffeine right now. My answer to everything. The problem is that doesn't work, does it?
No, not for everyone. I mean, physical activity is a very, very important part. And one of the things I suggest for people during the 7-day challenge is to just walk for 10 minutes twice a day.
What is that going to do?
Well, the reason that I say that is the research shows if you get out for 10 minutes, you'll stay out longer. And one really interesting thing, in a study, they gave one group of people a candy bar and a cup of coffee. They gave another group a 10-minute walk. Right when they got back, both groups had more energy. 2 hours later, the people that walked for 10 minutes had more energy than the people who had the caffeine.
Okay, I got to get this straight. We're in about an hour or so, we have a lunch break here. Instead of going back into my office here and doing whatever I have to do to get ready, go for a walk here in Manhattan.
Go for a walk, absolutely.
Before the afternoon taping, how am I going to feel then when I come back?
Well, and you'll feel much better, and 2 hours later, you'll have more lasting energy than if you just had a sugary snack. It's all about circulation, boosting your metabolism, and those things can last for a long time. But there are other things to consider. You know, another step in the challenge is I suggest sleeping alone just for 7 days. This isn't to break up any relationships.
I'm sorry, my wife's cell phone number, I'd like you to call her right now. Is sleeping alone, what does that have to do?
Just for 7 days, because we know that it's not the quantity of your sleep, but the quality of sleep that matters most for your energy levels.
Describe quality.
So what I mean is if you're in bed with your partner and he or she is tossing and turning or sets an alarm to wake up before you or snores, you might not be completing the sleep cycles that your body needs. So just for the 7 days, you create a sleep sanctuary. You make a room that's dark and cold. Don't put no cell phones, no beeping anything, nothing with a fluorescent light, and try to sleep for 8 hours. Just lock yourself in a room physically and figuratively and sleep alone. You know, when I have my patients do this, most of them say it's one of the most powerful parts of the 7-day plan. They didn't realize how distracted their sleep was.
You're so powerful what you're saying. There's another person in our bed.
dog, cat,
It's not
child.
getting weird. No, it won't get weird. Don't worry. Our daughter Olivia, who's turning 5 as we do the show, she creeps in the middle of the night, and I say, "Come on, Olivia," and then an hour later, she's sideways and kicking me in places I don't want to talk about, and I'm saying, "What's going on here?" And then all night that's been going on. And then I'm exhausted by 10 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
What should the rule be?
You and I are like this because I have a 6-year-old daughter, Olivia, who does the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute. Why are your feet by my head? And
Yes.
how did that happen?
They're so inconsiderate.
It's wonderful too, but during the challenge, the idea is just to understand how these distractions are really taking a toll on our sleep, and then make small changes to try and control them.
This is important. Do we realize the long-term effect exhaustion is having on us?
That's.
And by the way, what is it?
It's true. So I separate two things: tiredness and exhaustion in the book.
What is the difference?
So tiredness is a natural body response. After you've had a long day, you should feel tired. If you run 6 miles, if you don't feel tired, something's wrong. The exhaustion that I see in practice and that I describe in the book is more profound. It's a full body mental, emotional, and physical experience, and it's often chronic and unrelenting. People can push through life, but it takes the joy out of life. So really, I hope that the book in some ways changes the conversation around fatigue. We're not supposed to feel tired like this. We're not supposed to accept it. And just doing small things can make a difference.
What's fascinating is that given your expertise, given your clinical experience, you experienced exhaustion for a long time.
Right. So that's why another reason that this book is so personal for me and I feel so passionate about it. I was exhausted for 20 years straight. And here's the irony. A lot of that time, I was in medical school and residency and in practice. I was surrounded by some of the best doctors, the people I respect most. But it was hard when I went into the doctor to get anybody to really take me seriously. They would say, well, Ollie, of course you're exhausted. You're a medical student. Of course you're exhausted. You have, a daughter and a job. Or of course you're supposed to feel this way. Ultimately, I actually was diagnosed with a couple of hidden medical conditions, one of which was fibromyalgia. Treating that made a difference. But the biggest difference came from just small lifestyle tweaks that I really emphasized throughout the book.
The things you're talking about.
Exactly.
Did you start taking walks?
I absolutely did. For me, I'm the type of person where working out too much really drains me, but working out a little bit helps. I'll tell you one small lifestyle tweak that really, really helped me was something I call the 2-minute body inventory. So once an hour, set an alarm. This is only for the 7-day challenge. And while you're awake, set an alarm, just something that vibrates or just gets your attention. Stop what you're doing just for 2 minutes and scan from your head to your toes, looking for points of tension or discomfort. So when I started doing this, the alarm would go off and I'd say, wait, what was that? I had already forgotten about it. And then I'd realize, okay, let me do this. I would find that my brow was furrowed, my jaw is clenched, I'm hunched over my computer like this, barely breathing, right? Not breathing enough for energy. And if I took 2 minutes to focus, take deep breaths, release that tension. Sometimes my feet were even asleep. Just shake it off. Once an hour, I had so much more energy.
But you had to do this yourself.
Yeah, and so the book truly is a trial of process and error for me. Everything in it, I've tried. Even the oxygen chambers, even the stuff that's out there.
You tried it all.
I tried it all, and I just explained what worked for me.
It's called The Exhaustion Breakthrough, and the author is Dr. Holly Phillips, MD, and she's a medical contributor over at CBS News, and we thank you for joining the Public Television and Family for this important interview. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Appreciate it. Stay right there. We'll be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Hackensack University Health Network, United Water, Wells Fargo, MagnaCare, New Jersey Sharing Network, Kessler Foundation, and by Josh S. Weston. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.